Join as we learn together Chitas Chumash for today, the second Torah reading of Parshas Vaeira for Monday. Yesterday's Torah reading we read as God rebukes Moshe for the very fact that he asked, why are you mistreating the Jewish people? And he appoints Moshe and says, you are not like your forefathers that you start asking, who am I? But now your job is to go and take the Jewish people out of Egypt. As we concluded yesterday's Rashi, by telling us that over here now the Torah will tell us about the lineage of Moshe and Aaron, who they are, where they come from, and that they were given this responsibility of taking the Jewish people out of Egypt. That's where we begin today's Chumash. Verse 14. Chapter 6. Ruvain, Yisrael. These are the heads of the paternal clans of the first three tribes that we're going to talk about. The first, and as well as here he tells us as the sons of Ruvain are, the firstborn was Chanoich. Then we go to Palu, Chetzrein, and Karmi, V'charmi, Eila Mishpachas Ruvain. These are the families of Ruvain. Rashi, Eila Rashi Beis Avaisam. Why does he start with Ruvain? As Rashi mentioned yesterday, because he's going to have to get to the tribe of Levi. And where Levi comes from, Ad Moshe Aaron until Moshe Aaron, Bishvil Moshe Aaron, because of the greatness of Moshe and Aaron. Yisrael, therefore he begins first. Liachsam derech Taldeisam, to go according to the order of their birth, Mir Ruvain from Ruvain, to give respect to Ruvain. And then he continues with Shimon and Levi. And in the Medrash, the Psikta explains as follows. Why doesn't he say only the first three tribes? Because when Yaakov, before he passed in Parshas Vayechi, the only three tribes that did not get a direct blessing was Ruvain, Shimon, and Levi, that they were rebuked by their father. Therefore, over here, the Torah continues to count them again to show that they are special as well. Uvnei Shimon. And the children of Shimon was Yemuel, Yamin, Oyad, Yachin, and V'tzeichar, V'shol ben Eknanes, and Shol the son of the Eknanes, Elam Mishpachas Shimon. These are the families of Shimon. The Eila Shmeis b'nei Levi. These are the names of the children of Levi. He told all them according to their birth. Gershon, Ukahas, Merari, Gershon, Kasa, Merari, Shnei Levi. In the years of the life of Levi, Shevo, Shleshim, Uma'ashana was 137 years. Why does he tell us over here the lifetime of Levi only? What about the other ones? So Rashi explains and says as follows: Shnei Chaye Levi, Lama Nimnu. Why does it mention the years Shneis of Shalevi, the years of Levi? Ledia, to let us know Kama Yemei Hashibud, how long the Jewish people were enslaved for. Shekol's Man Shechad Ben Ashvatim, because as long as one of the tribes were still alive, Gayim Loihoya Shibud, the Jewish people were not in tense slavery. Shenemer, as it says, Vayamas Yosef Chalechav, it says that Yosef died and all of his brothers. Va'achakach, and only afterwards does it say Vayakim Alachadash, a new king came along. The Levi, Herich Yamim Al Kulam, Levi was the one that lived the longest. So therefore, by knowing how when Levi died, are we able to make the calculation of how long the Jewish people had in intense slavery? Based on this, it comes out to about 116 years was the slavery of Egypt. Verse 17, Bnei Gershon, the children of Gershon, Livni Shimei, Lemishpachaisam, Livni and Shimei according to their families. Verse 18, Ubnei Kahas, and the children of Kahas, Amram, Yitzhar, Hever, and Uziel, Ushnei Chai Kahas, in the lifetime of Kahas, was Shalish, Ushleishim, and Ma'ashana, was 133 years. Rashi, verse 18, Ushnei Chaye Kahas, and then continuing to the Shnei Chaye Amram, which is going to be in the next verse as well. And he says as follows: why does he tell us these families and these peoples how long they lived? Because from this, Anulamedim were able to understand Al Moshav Bnei Yisrael, how we get to the Jewish people settling Arba Me'ashana for 400 years. She'omer HaKasuv, that the Torah says that they will be there for 400 years. Shaloi Be'eretz Mitzrayim Levada Hayu, because not only the land of Egypt were they there for 400 years, Ella, it was counted Miyayim Shanei Yitzchak, from the time that Yitzchak was born. Sharei, because here's the calculation. Kahas Miyar Mitzrayim Haya. Kahas was from the children that went down to Egypt. He's counted from the 70 Chashoiv. Now count Kol Shneis of all the years of Kahas. The Shneis Amram, and the years of Amram that he's going to tell us in the next verse. So you have Kahas was 133, Amram is 137, Ushmainim Shal Moshe, then 80 years of Moshe, because that's how old Moshe was when the Jewish people left Egypt. Leitimtzim arba me'ashana, you're not going to have 400 years. You have 133 plus 137 plus 80 is 350. Where do you have the 400? Many years were counted into the years of the forefathers, meaning of those 350 years. It also won't be correct because since you have 100, though Kahas lived 137 and Amram 133, but Amram and Kahas were still alive while the others were alive and while Moshe was alive, so you can't count directly 137 plus 133 because they weren't 350 years. It was 70 years when they came down into Egypt, and Amram was alive while Kahas was alive, and Moshe was alive while Amram was alive. So it's not exact. So it must be that therefore we counting from the time that Yitzchak was born would then be 400 years, because from the actual time that the Jewish people came down to Egypt until they left was only actually 210 years. Verse 19. Ubnei Merari, and the children of Merari, Machli and Mushi, Ela Mishpaches HaLevi Lo Taldesam. This is the families of Levi according to their birth. Verse 20. Vayikach Amram es Yocheved, and Amram took as Yocheved Idasei. Amram married Yocheved, his aunt, Leili Isha for him as a wife. That means Yocheved was a daughter of Levi. His father was Kahas. Kahas and Yocheved were brothers and sisters. Amram was a child of Kahas, so Amram married his aunt. Leili Isha for a wife. Atelud Lei, and she gave birth to him as Aaron, Ves Moshe, Aaron and Moshe, Ushnei Chaye Amram, and the life of Amram was Shevo Shloshim Mashana, 137 years. Yocheved de Dasei, so Rashi explained what does it mean. How does it his aunt? Achas Avoy, the sister of his brother. Bas Levi, because Yocheved was a daughter of Levi. Achos Kahas, which is the sister of Kahas. Uvenei Yitzhar, now continuing with the rest of the children of Kahas, was Kairach, Nefek, and Zichri. Uvenei Uziel, the children of Uziel, Mishal, Otsafan, and Sisri. 23. Vayikach Aaron es Elisheva bas Aminadav, and Aaron married the daughter Elisheva, the daughter of Aminadav, Achos Nachshen. She was the sister of Nachshon, which was also a son of Aminadav. Leili Isha, to him as a wife. Vatelud Lei, and she gave birth to Aaron. That means Elisheva had the following children: as Nadav, as Avihu, Nadav and Avihu, as Elazar, as Isamar, Elazar and Isamar. Verse 23. Why does it tell me who her sister was? From here we learn, Isha, one who marries a woman, should see what the brothers are like, because most of the children follow what the brothers are like. And therefore, he says, who did Aaron marry? Elisheva, who her brother was Nachshon, was the eventual leader of the tribe of Yehuda. And the children of Korach, Asir, Elkanah, Vavi Asaf, was Asir, Elkanah, and Avi Asaf, Ela Mishpachis HaKarchi. This is the family of the Karchi. Elazar ben Aaron, now this is already the grandson of Amram. Elazar, the son of Aaron, Lokach le b'bnei Putiel, he married one of the daughters of Putiel, Leisha as a wife, Atelud, and she gave birth to him as Pinchas, Ela Rosh Aves Alavim, Mishpachesam. These are the heads of the paternal families of the Levites according to their families. What's Mibnei Putiel? Who is this Putiel fellow? Rashi tells us. And why does he tell us he's Putiel? Not the other names that he's mentioned in other places. Mizera Yisrei. He is from a child of Yisrei. That before he converted, he used to fatten the calves, the calves, that they should be nice and eligible to be brought as idolatry. He was, according to some as well, he was also from Mizera Yosef, from the children of Yosef, Shepit Beit B'Yitzrei, who was able to conquer his evil inclination and did not allow himself to be seduced by the wife of Potiphar. And he was called both one. And why over here do we call Putiel? Because he had one from his father's side, one from his mother's side, that she was also a Bas Putiel, and the daughter of Putiel, as this way she was referring to Yosef and to Yisro. Verse 26, who Aaron v'Moshe, this is Aaron and Moshe. Asher Omer Hashem, that God said to them, Hayitzius b'nei Yisrael, take the Jewish people, Me'eretz Mitzrayim, out of Egypt, Al Tziv Oisam, according to their tribal groups. Rashi 26, who Aaron v'Moshe, Meaning, these that we just mentioned before, that were born to Yecheved and Amram. It's the same Aaron and Moshe that God tells them to go take the Jewish people out of Egypt. Now Rashi adds over here and says something interesting. You will find places, sometimes Aaron comes before Moshe. And there are some places, that Moshe comes before Aaron. So which one's first? This is teaching us that they were both equal, that they were both just as great, and therefore at times the Torah is going to say Moshe first, and at times it's going to say Aaron first. Al Tziv Oisam, what does it mean? Al Tziv Oisam according to their tribal groups, meaning Bitziv Oisam. That means the way that they would gather together. Meaning, and Rashi explains, Kol Tzvam L'Shifteim, every one of the families according to their tribes. Yesh, we find this also in other places in the verse. Al she'enei ela b'makim eis achad. Using the word al can also be changed by using a one letter in the beginning of the word, changing it. For example, for al charbecha tichya, that he would live by his sword, and he changes it sometimes bicharbecha, with your sword, as Yitzchak tells Esav. So to amadatem al charbechem in Hezekiel, and he changes it to bicharbehem. So sometimes the word al can be replaced by just one letter before the word. Verse 27. Hey Mamedabrim al Pari, these are the ones that spoke to Pari. Pari, which Pari? Melech Mitzrayim, the king of Egypt. L'hoitzias b'nei Yisrael, to take the Jewish people out Mitzrayim of Egypt. Who Moshe v'Aaron? This is, they were Moshe and Aaron. Rashi, Haim Hamedabrim, what does it mean? Haim Hamedabrim, they are the ones that spoke. Haim, these two people, Moshe and Aaron that we mentioned before, Shenitztavu were commanded, but not only were they commanded, Haim Shekaimu, they kept and they did what they were told to do. Who Moshe Aaron? The Torah now again repeats it, this time putting Moshe before Aaron, but Rashi explains, Haim B'shlichusam, they stood by in their errands and their jobs that they had to get done, Ubitzit Kasam, and in their righteousness, mitchila, from the beginning of Ad Soif, that from the beginning until the end, from when they were told to take the Jewish people out of Egypt, until the 40 years later that they took the Jewish people into the land of Israel, or in their eventual going into the land of Israel, they were righteous and kept to what they were told to do throughout that time. Verse 28, and it was on that day that God spoke to Moses and Aaron to take the Jewish people out of Egypt. Rashi tells us that this verse, Mechuber, Mikra Shel Achrav, is connected to the following verse of what's going to happen in tomorrow's Torah reading. This concludes the second Torah reading for Monday, Parshas Vaeira.